Barbecue champions call this the money muscle because it delivers outstanding results. I mean, we just pulled it off. Check out the moisture in there, right? It is phenomenal. It's just been sitting on the counter for a second here. It's still full of moisture. You can see how much moisture is here, and I didn't add anything into the wrap or anything like that. It is just full of moisture. It's tender, it's full of flavor. This might be your new favorite way to make some pulled pork. Let's get into it. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake. Today we're talking pork, not just any pork. We're talking what barbecue champions call the money muscle. What is it? It is pork collar, or this is /CT butt. It's a much smaller piece of meat, but it is full of some amazing marbling and fats, and it's tender. This is Berkshire, of course. If you've been around for a while, you know that that's my go-to for pork. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna season this guy up and throw it on the pits and spits. It's about the I think the fifth or sixth smoke on the pits and spits so far. And actually, before I do that, I'll throw on one of these guys. Give it a slight pat. It doesn't need much. We want to leave that moisture on there for our binder. But as you can see, it's got a nice little fat cap on it, which we will cross hatch since it's a little on the thick side. You want to help this render down a little bit. This also will help get a little bit of seasoning a little deeper, but there's not much to it. We're just going to season this up today. I'm using Heath Royal's Competition Barbecue Rub. And we'll stir on the bottom. And that's that. We'll use our TyperSync Gold Dual here. Turn that guy on. And we're gonna go right in the center. We'll go below that fat a little bit here. Remember to put it in past that one line. Let's talk about the pits and spits. I've learned a couple things I want to share with them. We'll go outside and talk about them now. All right, so let's get our pits and spits set up. Today we're using some Bear Mountain oak pellets. Throw some of these guys in here. Now, interestingly enough, I had someone over for dinner. I host a CEO dinner once a month, and I just got a new pellet grill. We were talking about it, and I had talked to him a while ago, and his son really was sold on a Traeger, and I was like, don't do it. If you're in that type of price range, get yourself like a Weber Searwood or something like that. Much better pellet grill. So the Traeger ended up being out of stock or arrived dented or something. They took it back. They didn't have any more stock on it, so he did get himself a Weber Searwood. And he's been having a lot of fun. He's like, hey, but I said, well, what kind of pellets are you using? He's like, well, either the Traeger or I've really been using the Kirkland Signature, the big bag, because they're cheap. And I was like, whoa, stop the bus. I would bet money that the Kirkland Signature ones are just Traeger. And as someone who's tested 9 different brands of pellets, Traeger is in the very bottom. So I just said, hey, go out to Lowe's or Walmart or whatever, get yourself some Bear Mountain barbecue, because it is a significant difference. This is your flavor, this is your smoke. You don't want to cut corners when it comes to pellets. So been using Bear Mountain now for, I think, 3.5 years and have not looked back. Today we're gonna use oak, which is a great, traditional barbecue style flavor. And what I'm gonna do is I'll bring you in. This is only like the 5th or 6th cook on the pits and spits, so I'm learning some things. I'm gonna show you, I've already removed the diffuser plate. I'm bringing in to show you the firebox here and our wood cage. Now, the one thing I wanna tell you about the wood cage is you need to let it go for a little bit of time. Like I've got some straw starters and now I've got a torch. I'll get that really good and I'll try and stack the wood so that it doesn't put that fire out. If you don't get it going well, it'll actually go out. So now what I'm doing is I'm letting it go for about 5 minutes or so, let that wood start burning, and then I'm starting up my pellet grill to make sure that we're good. And then I close everything back up. But it just gives it enough time for the wood to start burning, because it is a little bit of a pain. You can't really see the cage once everything's back together, right? If you think it's out, you got to pull out your diffuser plate and have a look at it. That's the one little nuance about it. You know, if you give it a good chance of getting going, then you just slide in another chunk of wood. Now here's the wood I'm using, big old chunks like that, okay? This is also oak. I'll bring you in here, we'll get this guy going, and then I'll talk a little bit about this lower deflector here, because it does make a huge difference. I had a chance to play with it on a recent cook, and I'll bring you in here a little closer. Let's take a look. All right, so we're gonna throw our starter in there and we'll get our torch going. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna build kind of a teepee away so that the straw starter there has enough room. If you just lay it on top of there and put it a little too tight, what'll happen is you'll just put it out. And if we look at this guy, right, basically you look at your center of the firebox, we move it over a little bit. What this guy does is when it goes to the right, it makes the left side hotter. When it goes to the left, it makes the right side hotter. So depending on what you're cooking, if you want to set up a hot zone and a cooler zone, you can, but you're gonna kind of set this up. A good starting spot is right over dead center spot, and then we'll just go over a few more inches. If you have the wood cage, you won't see this part here, right? And that'll get you pretty even. Got to play with it a little bit, but it does make a big difference. I had a chance to play with it and see what happened. So we got this guy going. I will turn on our pits and spits here while we're sitting here looking. I'm gonna go up to 250 on this guy. We'll get this going, and you can already see our wood is burning pretty well. It just so happens I have another piece that was left over from my previous cook. I'm gonna put that on top, try and get that going. And this will burn for about 45 minutes. There's no real reason to, come up and add, especially big chunks like this, 45 minutes or so is they'll burn no problem. The other thing you might notice is I cleaned all this up with Sheila Shine. What I did is I did not have this part up enough, so the front or the lid was not sealing properly on here, and all the smoke was escaping out of here. So I fixed that all up. I've done one smoke since, and this stays clean again. All right, so we're just starting to see some smoke from our firebox there. We'll wait till I get a flame and then we'll close it up. All right, we have ignition. So what I'm gonna do is we'll put this guy over here, like so. Put our deflector plate in. And we'll put my bottom grate in here, even though I'm not gonna use it. I like this upgraded stainless steel edition here because I can leave all the grates on the right and then or on the left, and I can get access to the wood chute from there, no problem. If you don't have this, you can just leave the bottom grate out. All right, so it's been a few minutes. You can see that the salt's done its job. We are a nice mahogany color all over. That's exactly what we want to see. We are cooking at 250 on the pits and spits. Now remember, I'm in smoke mode. You can adjust a couple different modes on the pits and spits. I've only tried with smoke mode so far. So what it does is it will run, 10, 15, 20 degrees cooler than the set temperature, and that's completely expected. So I'm starting at 250, so I'm gonna run 225, 230 real temps. And what we're gonna do is we'll get out our Topher amp here and we'll set this guy up. And you can see we're 37.6 to start. We got some pork. This is a roast. We're gonna just call this a butt, and then I'm gonna just leave it at 200. Whoop. We're using it completely as a guideline just to see where we're at. We are gonna wrap this at some point in time, but first we're gonna take it outside and we're gonna let some smoke do its job. So we're running 3 pieces of oak chunks in there, plus some Bear Mountain oak pellets there. What we're gonna do with this guy is we're gonna take it outside and we're gonna put it on the middle shelf and give this guy a smoke bath for probably 4 or 5 hours before we wrap it. We want to build up some bark. We're not going to spray it. We're not going to look at it. We're not going to do nothing for at least 4 hours. I'll bring you back a little bit. All right, so we're up the temperature. We'll pull this guy out here. We're gonna throw this right in the middle rack. Now that I'm seeing it, I guess some remnants from my 411 video. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this just like so. See it sitting there. But as you can see, I mean, it's really taken on a nice dark color. Throw that right there. Close her up. Let the pits and spits do its job. The one thing you might have noticed is that the pits and spits, you can hear the fan turn on and off constantly. When it's in smoke mode, it's trying to stoke that fire. So it really helps with, you know, just the way the pellets burn and the way the wood in that wood cage burns to give some extra smoke. I mean, it always has a ton of smoke coming out of it. So far it's been great to use. Now I want to talk about pepper for a second here. A couple years ago, I said by mistake on a video, pepper attracts smoke. It's not that pepper attracts smoke, but smoke adheres to textures. So, you know, I try and use pepper on my briskets. I'm often 3-to-1 pepper versus salt. Very, very heavy on that pepper because the more pepper there, you get that black meteorite brisket, but you also get a lot more smoke adhering to that meat. So that's why I went and put some pepper on there. We're gonna let this guy go for another 4 hours before we even look at it. All right, so it's been about 4 hours and 45 minutes or so here. If we take a look at our probe, 4 hours and 47 minutes, we're at 173.25. I just went out and looked at our money muscle pork collar, and it is looking absolutely delicious. You can see it's got some amazing color on it. It's time to wrap it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run out and grab it real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. You know, if you ever wondered, always use these cotton gloves. You can just wash them. They get stained over time, but they are great to have underneath your gloves here so that you don't burn your hands. So let me run out and grab this guy, and then we'll wrap her up. All right, as you can see, we have some amazing color here. Look at that. Smells phenomenal. Just see some color on that side too. It's just starting to break apart here. You can see that our little bit of fat cap there nicely broke down or rendered out a little bit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take our probe out. We'll wrap this. Put that in there. Put this back on, and since we're at 174 now, we're probably gonna go another 40 minutes or so, and you know, at that point in time, we're looking for probe tender. We're not looking for a temperature. I can tell you it's gonna be somewhere around 203 to 205, but we're gonna get out our instant read and we're gonna start to poke it, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Let me bring you up to speed. So our pork went on for about another hour and 20 minutes wrapped, and then I took it off. We hit 206 is where I ended up pulling it, and then I put it in a foil tub here and just let it rest. Now, our Typher sink has done its job. I'll put that here. I want to talk to you a little bit about this because this is how we determined. You can see I've got a couple holes in here. I went in different spots, but what we're doing here, we're still a little hot, right? We're still 194-ish. But I just went through and I just kind of felt it all the way through, right? Once I was happy with the tenderness, then I pulled it and let it rest. There's no official temperature. Now, I would like to let this rest a little longer. Unfortunately, my wife is waiting to get access to the kitchen, and I've been at her all day, so I'm going to move on forward and show you what we got. Look, if you got time, I recently did a video where I did a low and slow pork and pork butt, and I put it in the oven overnight. Put this in the oven overnight. I mean, it has a huge impact on it. What am I doing here? Thought I had the edge of that, but I clearly did not. Oh man, that baby looks good. I'll bring that out in all its glory. Now you can see, look at how much juice is in there, and we didn't add any moisture. I didn't even spray this or anything. These things are packed with flavor, tenderness, and moisture. Just wrap them a little earlier and let them roll, and you can see Beautiful color. I mean, it's pulling apart the bottom just from picking it up. But that, my friends, is a delicious looking piece of pork. All right, so let's have a look at this guy. We'll just kind of section out here. Okay, now what? I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up, but there is literally a pool of moisture in the middle of this. That is why they call this the money mussel. I mean, this is falling apart. It is full of moisture, and it didn't even rest that long. Look at the smoke ring. The piece right there is calling my name. It's a big old piece. Took some of that sauce right there. This, my friends, is heaven. I mean, I love me some pulled pork. Pork butt, pork shoulder, bone in, whatever you want is phenomenal. This kicks us up an entire another level. There's so much moisture and everything in this. Lots of flavor. It is super, super tender. It's just a cut above a traditional pork butt. And the great thing about it is it's a smaller piece. So if you've got a smaller audience, you're like me, I'm the only one that really eats this. I take it to work and give some to my neighbors. My wife eats super healthy. So this is a nice little treat when I want some banging pulled pork. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Listen, if you want to check out the pork butt that I did over 24 hours, it was pretty damn good. It's worth checking out. I'll put the video right here. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.